From the outset, Neon Inferno is all the good things about 90s video games rolled up into one epic 2D action adventure. And sure, it may try to do too many things at once, and that often shows in its core systems that don't always feel cohesive. But that said, the quirks of the experience end up becoming one of its best charms. It's nostalgia infused with modern gameplay sophistication, and it comes off like a game that you'd expect to release in 2025, through a modern 2D epic that draws on the past while trying to build on one of those ideas in a new way. Let's unpack all that in this review. Neon Inferno is set in a futuristic dystopian New York City filled with corruption. Gangs and law enforcement are equally compromised, backed by businessmen and politicians who are just as bad and still fighting each other over the same greed. And in this hopeless cyberpunk nightmare, it's up to a vigilante group to take all of them out at once. The infighting and loose alliances make for a fascinating premise, and it translates into the game design in nuanced ways. Players can choose between two protagonists in both single-player and, even more excitingly, local two-player mode. Although I should mention, this was clearly built to excel as a solo experience, but two-player co-op doubles the fun. Angelo and Mariana are the protagonists here, each with their own backstory. Angelo comes from the streets, while Marina comes from the sheets. I'm just kidding, she has a more privileged background. But still, their motivations for fighting crime are unique as well. For one, it's sparked by a deep-seated grudge, and for the other, it's the thrill of simply breaking boredom. I'll admit, these are pretty cool characters with familiar cyberpunk design cues, and they fit well within the wider sci-fi setting, which feels like a 1940s New York vibe projected into the future. The character designs and artistic attention are worth savoring, and the overall presentation comes together thanks to a rich and varied soundtrack. You get the expected rock and techno tracks to match the action, but also moments of moody noir. It comes out to be a crime drama with robots instead of something like a Buick Super. Neon Inferno describes itself as a hybrid shooter mixing run-and-gun action platforming with gallery shooting. It's a true 32-bit spectacle that pushes boundaries of 2D action. Imagine if Mega Man X4 had the gallery shooting elements of Wild Guns, and that's essentially the frenetic action on display. The 2D fundamentals are strong, and the gallery shooting sequences punctuate the brisk pace, as enemies in both the background and foreground need to be handled at the same time. The two contrasting shooting styles feels responsive, but switching between them in the heat of battle takes some getting used to. It's not intuitive at first, but learning the system ends up feeling rewarding. It also doesn't come off as frustrating so much as something that nudges you to pay closer attention to when you have to swap between styles. I should also mention that it's not just the gunplay here. The combat also leans into melee strikes that diversify the action and prove useful against tougher foes. Instead of functioning as a simple high damage combo, melee attacks can deflect and parry green projectiles from the enemies. Holding down the attack button even lets you redirect those parried shots in a specific direction. In action, the execution feels smooth and satisfying, making it easier to dish out big damage to larger enemies. The entire adventure plays out like a roller coaster from start to finish, with thrilling enemy encounters built around set pieces that feature clever platforming and even high-speed motorcycle chases. Each main mission ends with a dramatic boss fight that typically unfolds across two distinct phases. This is very much a score chaser type of game, and for the most part, you're going in guns blazing against gang members and crooked cops. Interesting though, ever so often, those two factions turn on each other, and sometimes they even form temporary alliances. It's an all-out war in New York City, story, and caught in the middle are civilians you're supposed to protect. So when it comes to your score, civilian casualties impact your mission grade, so you need to keep an eye on them amid the chaos. The main adventure of Neon Inferno comes in 2 different flavors: a campaign with generous checkpoints, saves, and difficulty options, and an intense arcade mode meant to be cleared in a single sitting. You can also purchase upgrade weapons between missions, but even without those, the core fundamentals are strong enough for players to push through the campaign. That alone should say a lot about how thoughtfully everything was put together. The graphics are detailed and vibrant, but sometimes to a fault. There are moments where the visuals can get in the way of precision, especially when you need to quickly pick out enemies in the background. Some of the enemy sprites are small and dark, and even they can blend into the neon-heavy environments. It's not a major problem, but it does take some adjustment. Neon Inferno is an easy recommendation for anyone looking for a modern 2D action experience. It's rich in style and graphical detail, and its various gameplay systems come together in a compelling way. The 2 shooting modes can often feel jarring at first, but many players will likely enjoy mastering that oddity. Neon Inferno delivers a satisfying mix of modern and classic 2D run-and-gun action in one of the coolest cyberpunk settings around. Noisy Pixel is giving Neon Inferno an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.